Let's start our today's video. Today we are going to discuss about verb and its kinds. First and foremost thing, take a quick review of verb. When we talk about a verb means an action, any doing. It can be expressed through a physical action like to swim, to write, to climb, or maybe through a mental action, to think, to guess, to consider, or it can be a state of being. For instance, to be, to exist, or to appear. Then when we talk about a physical action, the doctor is writing a prescription, a mental action, he thought the same thing, and state of being. Advina is the largest elephant in this area. In simple, when we talk about a verb is basically doing or an action word. Let's check the kinds of verb. We are going to discuss today four kinds of verbs: dynamic, stative, intransitive, and transitive. First, dynamic verb. Dynamic means something which is in moving or which is changing. In English grammar, a dynamic verb means that the verb describes an action rather than a state. Physical action like to run, to eat, to go, to walk, to fly, to drive. These all are basically what? These are physical actions. Joe is chasing a bus. This is what? This is what? It is a dynamic verb. Chasing a dynamic verb. She is eating pizza. What is this eating? Eating is a dynamic verb. They were flying an aeroplane. Now flying is what? It is a dynamic verb. So dynamic verb is basically what? It is not about the state. It is all about an action. I was learning French. They are preparing a project. What is this? These all actions are dynamic actions. Then when we talk about a stative verb is basically, what is it? In English grammar, a stative verb means that the verb describes a state rather than an action. It is all about a state. It is not about an action like dynamic verbs. Stative verbs are sometimes known as a state verb. Kevin wants some ice cream. This word wants is basically what? It is a stative verb. A stative verb expresses a state of being, a thought, or an emotion. So what does it mean when we talk about the stative verb? These are basically those show a thought, emotion, or a state of being. I am at home, of being. She believes in fairies. I think it is wrong to hit children. These all, believe, think, these all are basically stative verbs. These are stative verbs. Sarah is eating cakes. Sarah likes cakes. See the difference. Sarah is eating cakes. Sarah likes cakes. The bear is chasing Harry in the forest. The bear wants honey. Can you compare these all examples? And have you found the difference? Due to the usage of verb, here you can see the difference. Let's see. Let's compare. The first examples are basically the example of dynamic or action verbs. The last two examples are the examples of stative verb. These are the verbs, those are showing state. These are showing the state. These are not basically showing any sort of action. This like, wants, is, am, are, these are what? These are stative verbs. Those are showing the state. These are not action verbs. Stative verbs need, want, hate, love, know, belong, believe. This bag belongs to Annie. This is the right way to use belong rather than this bag is belonging to Annie. It is used here wrongly, and because it is a stative verb. It is not an action verb. In the second sentence, this bag is belonging to Annie. It is just used like as a dynamic verb, which is a wrong usage of belong. A few words basically fall under the category of stative verb: need, want, hate. You cannot use needing, wanting, hate, loving. So usually when we use these show state. Now let's check. There is an activity for all of you. Tell whether the underlined verbs are static or dynamic. They are hiding in the bushes. They are hiding in the bushes. Can you think about it? Does it mean, is it dynamic or static? It's dynamic. I have two brothers. Is it a state? An action is going on or not? It is static. His vacation plan sounds wonderful. Sounds. Any action is prevailing, going on, or it's just a sort of state? It's a state, static. We are walking right now. Action or just simple state? Dynamic. I like chocolate, but I prefer cake. Like is like any action is prevailing here, or it's just a state? Static. Now we are moving towards transitive verbs. When we talk about a transitive verb, it is an action verb that has a direct object. Action passes over from subject to object. Or in simple, when we see, when we observe, an object is given in a sentence. When an object is given in a sentence, the verb of that sentence is called transitive verb. I repeat, if an object is given in a sentence, the verb of that sentence is called transitive verb. For example, the judge sentenced the convict. The judge sentenced to whom? The convict. So this action is lying on whom? On the convict. Object. So if object is given, or we say the action, it passes over from subject to object, then what do we call it? We call it transitive verb. Here the judge, subject, the convict is what? Object. So when object is given and or action passes over from subject to the object, it means the verb is transitive verb. The boy easily lifted the heavy box. The boy. What did he do? He lifted. Lifted what? The heavy box. So subject is boy, lifted is verb, and the heavy box is basically what? Object. So object is given in the sentence. That's why the verb of the sentence is transitive verb. Check. Transitive verb sentences can be changed from active to passive. This is the easiest way if you are unable to find that verb is transitive or intransitive. In that situation, keep one thing in your mind, that such sentences, those contain transitive verb, they can easily convert from active to passive voice. The boy easily lifted the heavy box. The heavy box was easily lifted by the boy. Now see, the first one is active and very easily it has been converted into passive voice. So this is the one way to check either transitive verb is given in the sentence or not. Intransitive. By knowing the name, by listening, or by observing the name, we can easily understand that transitive's opposite is intransitive. An action verb that denotes an action that does not pass over to an object. What does it mean? In the sentence, object will not be given. If the object is not given in the sentence, then in that situation, the verb of that sentence will be considered intransitive verb. I repeat, if object is not given in a sentence, the verb of that sentence will be considered intransitive verb. They protested in the street. They protested. They protested. They is subject. Protested is verb. In the street, it is not an object, but this is a phrase. So object is not given here. She wrote with care and precision. She wrote. She is subject. Wrote is verb. With care and precision is a phrase, but not an object. So when an object is not given in a sentence, the verb of the sentence will be considered intransitive. Choose the best answer. I can hit the ball easily. Select the kind of verb. Now you have to check, is it the example of intransitive or transitive or dynamic? I can hit the ball, hit. Here, if you see subject, then verb, object is also given. What does it mean? Will it be intransitive or transitive? So it is the example of transitive because the object is given. When in a sentence, object will be given, the verb of that sentence will be considered transitive. Sorry, I am out of breath because I have been running. The underlined verb is transitive or stative or dynamic. I have been running. Is it transitive, stative, or dynamic? Action is in progress. It is an active action. So dynamic is the right answer. She raised slowly from her seat. Verb is transitive, intransitive, or linking. Transitive or intransitive. Check either object is given or not. It is intransitive because object is not given. And if it is not mentioned, then it means the verb of the sentence is intransitive. See the picture and make a sentence. Also tell the kind of verb used in it. Guess which type of action is this? Which type of verb is this? Dynamic, stative. If I am not wrong, it is a dynamic action, dynamic verb. And then please make a sentence according to your understanding. A transitive verb sentence, please. Now, by watching this slide, make a sentence which contains a transitive verb. For more information, you can visit these all websites. Hopefully, you have got the idea about 4 different types of verbs. In case of having any question, you have right to send in comment box. Thank you from my side.